There are two important exhibitions starting at roughly the same time in San Francisco: Out of Character, Decoding Chinese Calligraphy, the Asian Art Museum, and Rudolf Nureyev, A Life in Dance at the de Young Museum. The October 6th opening coincides with the 20th anniversary of the iconic dancer's death. Rudolf Nureyev was ballet's first pop star, a dancer, choreographer, ballet master, and director of the Paris Opera Ballet. And his creative genius served to provide a powerful new role for the male ballet dancer, who once served only as a support to women dancers. This exhibition features more than 70 costumes from Rudolf Nureyev's personal collection. The designs of each of the costumes was supervised by Nureyev himself and shows the same meticulous attention to detail that Nureyev demonstrated in his performances. Nureyev's philosophy was both simple and profound at the same time. You live as long as you dance. I'm here with Jill DAllesandro, and Jill is the curator of textiles for the Fine Arts Museums here in San Francisco. And it's widely thought that Jill has been involved in the de Young's foray into fashion. So Jill, can you tell us what exhibits you've been involved with?
Yes, the first exhibition I started at the museum with, wonderful, was the Vivienne Westwood, 36 Years in Fashion. We then went on to the Yves Saint Laurent, Pulp Fashion, Balenciaga in Spain, which I worked on with Hamish Bowles, and most recently, the Jean-Paul Gaultier exhibition.
Did you meet Jean-Paul Gaultier?
I did.
What was he like?
He's wonderful. I mean, he was candid and friendly and energetic, and you could just see that he was just absorbing visual information at this incredibly fast rate.
And kind of down to earth and childlike and imaginative and fun?
Yes, exactly. all the above.
Yeah. Now tell us, how did this exhibit on Nureyev come to be and his interest in fashion?
The exhibition came to be when our former director, John Buchanan, was traveling in St. Petersburg with one of our trustees, Barney Osher. And they saw the exhibition, which had just traveled to St. Petersburg from the originating museum, the museum's central Center of Costume and Scenography out of Moulins, France.
You know, what really amazes me is that Nureyev had such a poverty-stricken upbringing. I think he and his family lived in a room that was 3 meters by 4. There was no bathroom in it. And yet he went on to become an exemplar of fashion and good taste and really a striving for excellence. So can you talk to us a bit about his early influences that brought him to this wonderful aesthetic?
I think just, simply like his charter background. I mean, I think that's one thing that really kind of permeates his sort of sensibility, this sort of, he was born on a train in Mongolia, but he had this kind of, even though he defected from Russia in 1961, he still really had this Russian Tartar sensibility, this love of the exotic, the Orient. But I think that one of the things that is so remarkable about him, which you were saying, is he came from these very humble upbringings, but he just had this insatiable appetite for music, for art, for dance, for literature. He was this passionate intellectual man, and it really comes forward in everything he did and everything he touched.
And I think what is particularly impressive is his sense of striving for perfection, which manifested so clearly in the incredible moves that he made on stage.
Yes, I would think that, it was very interesting. We had a panel discussion on Saturday, and one of a fellow dancer, several of the dancers who danced with him, they said, he did his time. He was always the first one in class. He took class everywhere he went. He would perform sometimes twice a day. He performed more than any other dancer. And he kept pushing himself and pushing himself. And they said that every company he went to improved because of his tireless dedication to perfecting his art. And he rose everyone to his level.
He was a great inspiration. Okay, well, let's see the exhibit. Okay. Jill, you've chosen this vignette for a particular reason. This is from, what is it, Swan Lake?
It's Swan Lake. I chose this because we've opened the exhibition, the costume section of the exhibition with Swan Lake, because it was so important to Nureyev. It was the first ballet he ever saw. His mother snuck him and his three sisters into a performance on New Year's Day. And it was at that moment, at age 7, that he decided that he was going to become a dancer. Throughout his life, he remounted Swan Lake on the original choreography of Petit Pas, a choreographer that Nureyev held above all others to be the sort of lodestar. We're standing in front of costumes from a 1984 production by the Opera de Paris, and that was at a time when Nureyev was the director, and so he would have had oversight into every element of the performance, including the costumes. And you really see his sensibilities, his love for luxurious materials. His doublets are made out of velvet and heavily embroidered with sequins and glass beads.
This is just about the exact opposite of what we were last talking about. What are we looking at now?
Yes, it's a costume that he wore in the role of Pierre Lunaire from 1976. It was a modern dance performance choreographed by Richard Tetley. And you know, it is a wonderful contrast. One of the reasons why Nureyev defected to France, to the West, was because he was interested in many forms of dance. And one of his major contributions to the world of ballet and to dance was his interest. He was one of the first classical ballet dancers to study modern dance. I would say that was, you know, amongst one of the most important things he did throughout his career. The other, of course, would have been promoting the roles of male dancers. You get this sense of Nureyev. We're talking about these costumes being almost like talismans, these memories of him, of his commitment to dance. And you can see actually, when you look closely at this costume, you can see that in fact that the underarms are darned multiple times, and so you see that wear and tear, and this sort of physicality, his athleticism, by just even examining the costume. Nureyev remarked, "I'm really alive when I'm on stage," and that's this atmosphere we hope to create with this exhibition. It's organized by ballet, and we have hired as an Italian stage designer, Giuliano Spinelli, to create this wonderful atmospheric environment. He is including designing these beautifully hand-painted scrims.